So
this is good.
Thanks, Elise. Okay. All right, Steve's here with what's coming up in sports.
Yeah, horse racing is, of course, on the agenda. And you know, last year, we all rejoiced in seeing the first Triple Crown winner in 37 years. Could we see it again? Jockey Maylan Studart joins us. She's going to take us through the Kentucky Derby and explain what she learned by watching the favorite taking the run for the roses. That's coming up next in sports.
All right, and I just have to say, I love that you're interviewing a female jockey.
Well, and an excellent jockey and a fantastic analyst. That's why she's on, right?
A lot of great things about her. All right, thanks, Steve.
Sure.
All right, more news ahead. Here's a look at...
Now, your Jeep Sports Desk.
Well, let's start with the Kentucky Derby, where favorite Nyquist was named after Detroit Red Wings player Gustav Nyquist. So before the Kentucky Derby, the NHL delivered the Stanley Cup to the Stakes Barn at Churchill Downs. Nyquist, the horse, touched it for good luck. Not a lot of love for the favorites, though, as Nyquist, who's done about all that you could have asked for at this point. American Pharoah finally won the Triple Crown after 37 years, but it's been 8 years since a horse has gone through the Kentucky Derby undefeated. Nyquist ran a perfect race. He tucked himself in behind the leader, then he made his move at the top of the stretch, holding off a surging Exaggerator at the wire. Nyquist pays $6.60 on a $2 bet. He is now a perfect 8 for 8 to start his racing career. So let's dive into how he won, why he won, and does he have any challengers for the Triple Crown, or I should say for any other race in the Triple Crown series. Our analyst rode in the NYRA track for 6 years and won more than 100 races. NYRA jockey Maylan Studart, great to have you in studio once again, giving us your breakdown this time of the Kentucky Derby. And we saw your, emotional reaction on Facebook for watching, Nyquist win this. And Nyquist was really impressive because here was a favorite that lived up to those expectations.
Right. I love this horse going into this race. So it's not surprising that he won the Kentucky Derby since he never lost a race up to this. And what Nyquist did was when he broke out of the gate, he has tactical speed. So that's the best kind of type of horse that you want going into the Kentucky Derby, where you can sit off the lead and not sit mid-pack. So he let Danzig Candy go on to the lead, and Gunrunner was sitting on the rail. So he just set off outside of them, which this means now he lets the dirty work with the pace be done for Danzig Candy, and all the closers have to do all the work to close. So he's just sitting there waiting to make the pounce at the quarter pole, which gave him the win.
And I was going to say, and this was a fast first quarter as well, wasn't it? Were you surprised by how quick they came out?
I was expecting more of a 23 seconds, 46 seconds. It went 22 and change, 45 and change, which is very fast. It's as fast as a 6 furlong race. For 1.25 miles, this is very fast. And it's funny because the closers, this benefits closers, but a lot of the closers that we wanted to see coming up to make up the ground did not make up the ground, and Nyquist just took off with that fast pace.
And that's something else you mentioned. He did not yield down the stretch. He got stronger down the stretch too, right?
Right. So what he did, he sat off the lead, and so he just took off in the stretch, and when Exaggerator was coming for him, when he got up to Nyquist right at the very end of the race, he never passed Nyquist.
Right.
So Nyquist still had a lot in the tank. Even galloping out, Exaggerator never passed him. So, it's funny because this goes back to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile when they ran together again. Exaggerator never passed Nyquist.
That's the thing.
Some horses just want to win, and some horses just are okay with losing. So I feel really bad for Exaggerator.
So Exaggerator is okay with being a bridesmaid because while Exaggerator did give Nyquist a bit of a challenge, this is the 4th time they've raced, and for the 4th time he could not overtake Nyquist.
Yes, and that's why Nyquist
just always the bridesmaid.
That's why Nyquist is such a special horse, because when you see the way he won his races, a lot of people were rooting for him to lose because they're like, he can't just win every race and come to the Derby and win that too. But if you saw how he won those races, digging down, putting his head down in the stretch, his ears back, stretching out, he wants to win. He has the heart, and that's what it takes to be a great horse, is the heart to face all the competition. So he's faced the best horses in the country, the best 3-year-olds in the country, and I believe he will do it again in the Preakness because that race also benefits front runners. So I think hopefully we might even see another Triple Crown.
I mean, and that's funny you bring that up because we were talking about how American Pharoah last year didn't really have much strong competition, but Exaggerator really is his rival, and he just hasn't been able to complete it yet. So I wonder if you think that Nyquist is going to be a better horse because Exaggerator is constantly pushing him.
Well, Nyquist and Exaggerator have very different running styles. Nyquist has tactical speed where he can go to the lead and he can sit off the speed, right? But Exaggerator, it's funny, the first 3 races Exaggerator ran, he was very close to the lead. So he used to be a faster horse early, but he's just been growing into himself where now his last 3 races, most recent races, he's been sitting mid-pack and further back, making one run. So he's developing. He's a young horse from 2 to 3 years old. He's been developing. So now when you go to the Preakness, do you make Exaggerator go back to the way he used to run where you sit up closer and stay next to Nyquist so that you don't have to make up all that ground in a race where typically holds speed, or are you going to take him back and let him settle again? So that's going to be up to Kent DeSormo, his jockey, and the trainer to decide what do we do in this scenario, because every race has a different scenario and different pace scenario.
That's going to be a big decision that they're going to have to kind of talk through the strategy of the race at the next level. But listen, every time we see a Triple Crown race, there's always a horse that kind of comes out of the blue that you never expected to finish in the top 5, if you will. And who was the horse that impressed you the most in this race?
So the horse who impressed me the most was Gun Runner, right, who finished 3rd. Very impressive. I did not think of him coming into this race because he didn't run against the top-tier horses that were coming into the Derby. He didn't run against Nyquist. He didn't run against some other horses like Outwork, who's a speed in this race, who was supposed to run good. He didn't run against Mohaymen, who never lost a race until Nyquist beat him. So he really surprised me. But at the same time, if you look at his breeding, sired by Candy Ride, his father was Candy Ride, his grandfather was Giant's Causeway. He is bred to go very long, a lot of stamina, and he has shown speed in his previous races. So it was amazing that we didn't see any of the other horses close. We were expecting a lot of closures to make up ground. That didn't happen. So when Gun Runner just sat there on the rail, sitting third, and nobody came for him, and the winners pulled away, it's like, wow, like that totally makes sense if you look at the breeding and if you expect closers not to close. So look out for him because he's an excellent horse and he seems like he's improving. Yeah,
he seems like he's game. It seems like, you know, he could be the wild card as we move forward. But there's always horses that disappoint you as well. You mentioned Creator kind of disappointed you. Why did Creator disappoint you?
Well, Creator ran a huge race in the Arkansas Derby. He was 12 lengths back, and he made a huge move, and he won by a lot. He passed all the horses. He went basically from last to first, so that was very impressive. And today, he didn't seem to pick up his feet. And not only that, but he actually got checked in the race by his jockey, which really hurt him somewhere mid-pack around when they were starting to make their moves around the 3/8 pole, closing up to the quarter. But that was very disappointing. Like, we're expecting to see a horse finishing strong like he has in his previous races. But then he comes up and does this, you know, what do you think of him next? You know, because he depended on this pace to make up the ground, and he didn't. So that was very disappointing.
And Nyquist, when we get back to this horse is undefeated, a perfect 8-0, and has won at 5 different tracks. I mean, this is something that American Pharoah didn't even do. He's really setting the bar for a Triple Crown strategy here. I mean, is this more impressive than what we saw out of American Pharoah at this point last year?
It is very similar. This horse has heart. This horse has stamina. This horse has excellent breeding. His sire is Uncle Mo, one of the Kentucky Derby favorites who never got to the Derby 2 years ago because he had a liver infection. So, and he's the first crop of this sire. And 5 different tracks. I mean, this horse is so versatile. 5 different tracks, 3 different ways of running. He can run. He can run in the front. He can run stalking. He could fall back a little bit and still make that move. So, and the connections too, from I'll Have Another, the jockey, I'll Have Another won the Kentucky Derby and was going for the Triple Crown a few years back.
But that versatility, that's the key. Real quick, we only have a couple of seconds here, but do you think that he has a chance, do you expect him to win the Triple Crown?
I expect him to win the Triple Crown. I do. His test will be Belmont Park. His test is going to be the 1.5 miles. Can he do that? That's
going to be the one. It's the big one. Yeah. That's what everybody points towards.
I think he can, and if he sits, if he's running like this horse he seems like he's unbeatable. All
right, well, we will see you in a couple of weeks for our Preakness coverage.
Awesome.
Maylan Studart, always good to have you in studio. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
All right, stick around. We'll be right back.